My name is Caleb Rainford. I am the CEO of Illuminaries, and after this video, you will never have to hire a media buyer again because you're paying them $3,000 a month for something I'm going to teach you in the next 10 minutes, and that is reading the signal. Basically, how to know an ad is working in 10 minutes and whether, or sorry, not in 10 minutes. This video is going to be 10 minutes, but this is essential to actually understanding how your ads are working and whether to cancel an ad or double down and make more ads, which is all an agency does. It's not really any rocket science to it. So the basic thing you need to understand is that you're not a fortune teller, you are a vote counter. So what I mean by this is that every impression is a vote. There's specific checkpoints in an ad that people won't tell you about. For example, when someone scrolls past the ad, obviously they do not want anything from you. Therefore, that would equal to a no, right? Someone stops for 3 seconds, that is them saying, tell me more. Someone saving, sharing, or following, I forgot to add that in here, forgive me. But if anyone follows, saves, or shares your ad from your ad, then they obviously think it's relevant to them. This is something that they want to learn more about. If they DM you, then this is I'm curious because we run DM ads, follower ads, and if you're running a lead form ad, if they fill out that lead form, this is something where they're curious. But if they go ahead and it says form fill down here, this could also be the same thing if it is a higher friction form. But if they go ahead, if they DM you or they have a full DM conversation with you and book a call for an estimate or book a discovery call or another appointment, a closing appointment, then they are asking basically, what do you charge? I want to learn that much more so that I could work with you. So everything here is a specific vote, and the more votes that you get in each bucket, or especially the buckets from 3 second stop to share to DM to book call or form fill, then that is what actually tells you that your ad is working or it is not working. The thing that people don't actually break down for you ever is that there's 4 gates, and I'm going to give it away right now. So these 4 gates, as you can see in the diagram right here, is number one being your hook rate. How well is your hook actually capturing the people at the beginning of the video? Number two is the hold rate stage, which is how well are people being held through the video? How far are they watching 25%? Are they watching 50%, 75%, 100%? Then you have click-through rate. Are they clicking on the link that you want them to click on? So for example, if you were running a follower ad, right, that would be them hitting the follow button. That is your click-through rate. That is what you want them to click. If you're running a DM ad, they're sending you a message. If you're running a lead form ad, they're filling out the form and they're becoming a lead. Those are the things that are attached to your click-through rate, and your cost per lead is obviously everything knows that. There's a couple specific things that are very important about cost per lead that I will break down for you just in a couple seconds here. But these are the 4 specific stages that let you know if your ad is a winner. So I'm going to go over a couple actual real numbers with you from 2 different types of companies that we usually work with. But to break down the hook rate first and foremost, it is a formula where you take the 3 second views and divide it by the impressions, because right here what you see is it's going to give you a percentage that literally tells you, did the opener stop the scroll? And that's essentially what you want for your specific target audience. So anything around, I would say 25% is kind of generous. Anything that is around, I'd say like 18% and above is actually decent. I would keep that ad, I would let it run out, or it at least meets the qualifier for the first gate. 25% is obviously where you want it for most times. Anything 30 to 35% and above is a top tier ad. You want to run that, or if the body isn't good, you want to make another ad with that same exact hook or a variation of that hook. If it's under 15%, you want to kill it immediately, because the thing is, if no one is watching the hook, no one is watching the rest of the ad. I don't care if you had a line in the middle of the ad that was so good, it was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna get me the most deals. Obviously not, because people are not going to actually see that part of the ad if they cannot get past the first 3 to 5 seconds. That is that hook window. So dead hook equals dead ad. Only new creative fixes this, not budget, not targeting, not praying, right? As much as I would love these things to fix it, you just need to create a new ad in order for this to work. So if we were to look at real numbers here and we're looking at real hook rates, hook rates can depend on your service, and a lot of your metrics actually depend on the market that you're in. So if you have a higher ticket business with a higher price tag, obviously, like for example, you're selling kitchens, bathroom remodels, basement, etc., then that's going to be a bit of a higher price and sometimes less of a hook rate because you just have less people in your market, as opposed to an online service-based offer where there may be a lot of businesses that you're catering to that have a specific problem that you're going to fix. For example, the guys that we're talking about that you don't need anymore, marketing agencies or media buyers, right? Those guys help local businesses. A lot of local businesses will tune into what they want to do. And then there's high volume businesses, junk removal, window cleaning. These type of guys are the ones that also have high volume that will fall into this bucket right here. And you guys are going to see it's a constant factor as we continue to go down the board here. So doing the math, sorry for getting caught up there, but doing the math, if we go ahead and do 4469 divided by 11,377, that is going to give us, I don't know if you could see that, that's going to give us 39%. And that is insane, right? That's an insane percentage. And that is something that will actually keep most of the people who watch the video all the way throughout the video, right? Or obviously stopping the scroll. And at least if you could stop 40%, then that means you have higher chances of actually bringing more leads to the business, which you will see lower when I explain this. For the higher ticket contractor, it's less. I'm not going to do the math for every single one here, but obviously you could see last time I did it, it was around like, I think like a 19% hook rate. But yeah, that is hook for you. So when it comes to hold rate, what you want to understand here is this is basically how well your body keeps them. And you can set this up in your ads manager where you just click on, I think it's columns right here. And you click on columns, you edit the columns here, and you can edit 25%. Sorry, my writing is terrible with this mouse. 25%, 50%, 75, 95, 100. You want this because this tells you so much about your video. And what you need to understand is great hook with a dead hold means the body is boring or bloated and you need to tighten the cuts or shorten the script. That's exactly what it's telling you. So as you can see here, if we go ahead and look at the 25% views in comparison to in comparison to the hook, not the impression. So 1667 from 1469, that's about, I mean, that's a quarter. So like 25%, if we do the math real quick, 1667 divided by 4469 equals, actually, no, a little bit more than a quarter. My math was definitely off. It's 37%. I don't know if you could see that right there, but 37% of people that watch the hook are being held to the 25% mark. Barely anyone is dropped. Only 500 people are dropping off from 25 to 50%, which is actually really, really good. But the biggest place where we actually see the most drop off and which is most drastic is from 50 to 75. This is the place where if I were to go ahead and iterate on this ad right here, I would be actually going ahead and looking at the 50% to 75% mark and seeing if I could either shorten, make the language stronger, or tweak something or add like a retention hook or something like that, right? And it goes down the line. If we're to look at the higher ticket contractor, you can see that because of their market and because of the specific ad, I'm not going to blame it all on the market. The ad has a lot to do with it. It drops off much more drastically from the 25% to the 50% mark than it does over here. So going down next to the third gate is CTR, or click-through rate. This is what this stands for. As I mentioned before, click-through rate is someone clicking on the ad where you want them. And how this is measured is link clicks divided by impressions minus link clicks, not all clicks, okay? And don't worry about that formula. They actually calculate it for you, as you can see here, so you don't have to worry too much. This is clicks on all of the video, so don't get it confused. And this is clicks on the specific link. So if it's a learn more button, like I said, it's a follow button or it's a send me a message button, that is what it's tracking right there. One thing I want you to understand is that the usual good benchmark for a CTR is, in my opinion, and when I say CTR, I'm talking about link click-through rate. So look at this, is anywhere above 1.3-ish, 1.4. I'd say 1.5, you want anything and above there, that's pretty healthy, right? Anything below 1, you want to kill, or you want to at least understand why they're not clicking, because at that point, what it will tell you is that, first and foremost, the ad isn't entertaining enough, or specifically that you did not build enough curiosity for them to say, hey, let me actually click to learn more. That's what it is. So that either has to do something with the language of your ad. So are you hitting the right pain point? Do you have the right offer? Are you in the right setting, right? Do you actually look like the person who is speaking of what they're speaking of? For example, if you're a contractor and you're in a corporate office, you're obviously going to get less clicks as if you were on an actual job site. Your pants are a bit messy, you have a tool in your hand or something like that. These are all things that affect CTR. One thing that I want you to understand from here now is that we go down. Sorry, I didn't even look at the CTR here. So the CTR on the online service-based business is a bit higher because this ad specifically did really well, and we got a 2.3 on the actual click-through rate. But this one right here, the click-through rate was actually a bit weaker, but because it is a smaller audience and we're targeting actually a very small part of the city of Toronto, probably it's out on the east end, we're targeting a bit past Whippy, if you guys know where that is. If not, it's just a smaller area and there's less people in that area, hence the smaller click-through rate. So I'm actually not completely alarmed or panicked by this. And you guys will begin to understand that if you have a specific pool of people, you will understand what numbers actually look good and what numbers look bad. Okay, last thing I want to talk about in terms of gates is going to be your cost per lead. So average cost per lead that you should think of if you're a high ticket company, a high volume company, or a online business is high ticket, you're going to have higher leads. So compare it to your actual ticket price. Most of these guys, they're closing jobs for $20,000 and above. So if your leads are 75 bucks around that range, like you should not be crying, because understand that, okay, 5 leads come through, that's around 7 times 5, that's around $350, maybe a little bit more, $350, $400. That's okay, because if you were to close someone off of $350, $400, you're closing them for 20K. And if we do the math on that, $20,000 divided by 350, that is 57 times you've gotten your money back. Obviously, you might not be able to see that in the calculator, but 57 times your money. And same thing with high volume. High volume is going to be a bit lower because ticket prices are a bit lower. $1,000, you might not be removing junk for $1,000. Sometimes you might be. Sometimes you might be removing it for more than $1,000, right? But the thing here is that you're going to usually find a cost per lead anywhere from 10. I even would say 30. 20 is a bit generous. I would say 30 just to keep it within range. Depends on the area that you're targeting as well. More people to target, cheaper leads. Less people to target, more expensive leads, right? It's a spectrum. Then with online business, as you can see, this online service-based business I was talking about, the lead cost is $8.97, which is good, but also I would rather it be higher. I'll explain that in a second. But usually you want to find your leads at around, I would even lower this to $10 to around 30 bucks, depending on what you're selling as well. Ticket prices, obviously, it is less, I would say ticket price is less correlated to high volume businesses that are local and high ticket businesses, just because you guys are mostly targeting businesses, unless you're selling like an info product or something like that to a consumer. That's a bit different. There's just more consumers to target. But if it's B2B that you're doing, you're going to have more expensive leads naturally. The same concept that I was talking about before. Most important thing is that you know your industry's number before you panic about your own. That's very important, because if you're looking at, for example, your high ticket and you're looking at a $80 lead, you're like, oh my gosh, my leads are so expensive, because you think that you're going to get $20 leads. You're not comparing it to the right benchmark, as opposed to if you were high volume and you had a $70 lead, but your benchmark is 15 and you think, oh, that's not a bad lead. It's terrible, because that's what 3 people are supposed to be or 4 people are supposed to be, right? So it's all about knowing what the actual industry benchmark is. The thing is, so cost per lead is a verdict on the ad, not a leak downstream. So what that means, it's not a leak after the ad. It's not because you got to them slowly, or it's not because your funnel didn't work. Too expensive means that your hook isn't specific, either means that your hook isn't specific enough to the real pain, and that you weren't able to actually capture this person and invoke their curiosity, like I said with CTR. Either too expensive, your offer doesn't actually make them believe that the pain that you are targeting, you are going to be able to solve that in a quick way, enough for them to actually perceive it as valuable. And then too expensive, like I said, you either don't know your industry baseline. So those are the 3 things you need to worry about when it comes to cost per lead. So when it comes to actually doing something about it, right? When it comes to acting or sitting. So one thing I will tell you guys, this is the probably the hardest part of ads altogether, is that you need to just be able to read numbers. We talked about the hook rate. If it is a dead hook rate, if it is 15% or under, you want to kill that immediately and refresh the ad. Start from scratch. If you have a hold rate that's weak, or you have a CTR that's weak, what you want to do is you want to refresh, right? Because CTR goes into cost per lead, so I'm not going to mention that, but you want to refresh here, because this right here is something that it means that the hook worked, and it means that at least the beginning of the body was working. So all you want to do is you want to fix up the body a little bit. You might want to make the wording better. You want to shorten the ad, or you just want to create a better offer so that it basically makes people jump out their seat. It creates more curiosity and leads them to the finish line faster, right? When it comes to this, you can rebuild in the same lane. As I was saying, it's already a proven concept and it works. You just need to make it better. You just need to make it more specific, whatever it may be. If all is well, right? All is well, and you spent like 2-3 days looking at it, do not, I kid you not, do not touch the ad. If all looks well, do not touch the ad, especially during the learning phase or because it had one bad day. That is the biggest mistake people make. And just because your ad does not perform every single day. So for example, if your ad was getting like 5 leads a day, right, for the last 5 days, and the 6th day it gets 0 leads, don't panic, don't freak out. If the ad goes ahead and tanks for the next 4 or 5 days, yeah, okay, do something about it. That is something more alarming. But one day does not mean that it's a bad ad. It just means that Facebook is looking for other audiences to target that could potentially offer a solution. That's what the learning phase is about. It targets multiple different audiences, and the audience that works the best, it sticks with and doubles down on that specific audience. So while it's in the learning phase, don't touch it, or you'll restart the learning phase and you'll never be able to actually scale your ads properly. So as you can see, kill, refresh, or don't touch. Literally tie your hands. This isn't even an exaggeration. Tie your bloody hands if you think that you're going to touch the ad. Blindfold yourself. Don't open the tab for at least 2 to 3 days at a time. So most people don't lose money on bad ads. They lose money on killing good ones on a bad Tuesday. So guys, this is reading a signal. This is how simple this video was. I ran much longer than I was supposed to, but remember, this is how you know if your ad is working. You will not have to hire a media buyer to tell you this and that, give you any fancy reports. This is the basis of it. So save this, put it in a playlist so you can watch it at another time if you need it. And yeah, man, this has been Caleb. So many more videos to come like this, because I figured that this is just the best way to serve you guys, as you guys are all my clients and the ones that want to scale and make a bigger plan. Yeah, come work with me. I'd love to. But that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.